Hello friends, welcome to the Alt+Tab live show. My name is Paul, I'm here with Jenny.
Hi everybody, welcome to Friday.
It is Friday and we are here to talk about technology as well as just hang out with you guys and maybe answer some of your questions. So if you're watching this show live, then feel free to send us Twitterings. You can see our Twitter names down here. There's Jenny. What? We have an echo. Echo.
Ooh.
Are you watching a live stream and you have a video?
I have Twitch open here, but I'm not actually streaming to Twitch.
How are we having an echo?
I don't know.
Sorry everyone.
Sorry about that.
Try to correct this.
Loading, I say. I hear raise volume. Volume's low.
Pump up the volume, pump up the volume, pump up the volume.
It could just be Steve. No, it is just Steve. He's hearing us talking.
All right, so we don't have an echo, but we are not talking loud enough, or our volume levels need to be adjusted for them.
Perhaps.
Paul, your mic is low.
How do I do that?
I can go do it over on the board.
Okay. Okay.
All right, everybody. So we need you to let us know when it's loud enough.
Exactly. So I'm gonna say things, and you guys tell me when it's loud enough.
Paul, your gain is almost all the way to 0.
Why? Why? That's odd.
All right.
That's peculiar. Okay, so sorry, some quick technical issues here with the audio, but how are you all doing? I hope you're doing great. What?
I know his gain was almost at 0.
Yeah, my gain was turned all the way down.
So can you hear him? Is he getting better?
Paul whisper.
What?
Sorry, Paul.
Are we? Is it gaining any fidelity? This is terrible. So let me entertain you guys for a moment here with what we have planned for today. Is it sounding better?
Good.
I see. Yes, good now.
Excellent.
Strider says good now.
I think it probably just got brushed by somebody's arm.
Hello, Strider. Hello, Kitty. Hello, any of y'all who are our regular viewers. Thank you guys so much for coming back and continuing to hang out with us and all.
My nose is a little drippy today, so I'm sorry if I have to keep wiping it.
That's okay. That's okay. All right, so we're going to be talking about some hardware news today. We've also got some software news. There's not a ton of new stuff coming on the hardware side, but there's some new versions of some NVIDIA cards. We've also got some Windows 10 information to talk about, some security warnings for folks out there who want to make sure they stay secure. Of course, we'll be doing the Q&Egg segment where we answer direct questions that have been sent. Where do we send those still?
To Q&Egg@gmail.com.
Yes, so if you...
so I picked a couple of those, and also we'll pick a couple from Twitter as well.
Excellent. So if you think of questions during the week and we don't happen to be live answering your questions right then, send them to Q&Egg@gmail.com. And if they're good questions, then we'll talk about them. Also some phones and some apps and some other random social networking stuff.
And you can tweet questions to us too. Like if you have something really pertinent you need answered.
We're going to be keeping an eye on that.
You can tweet to us. And I mean during the week too. Like,
oh yeah, during the week.
We're very active on our Twitter accounts.
I always... I'm all over the Twitters.
I like this one, so I'm going to favorite it so I can read it later.
Excellent. All right, so shall we? Let's go into our first topic. All right, we've organized these today, so we're going to start talking about hardware. So if you guys have been following any news at all, wait, I need to remember which of these I go to. That one. Okay, that's correct. You guys are probably familiar with the NVIDIA new 900 series of cards that have launched. Nothing new as far as new GPUs. It's only been a couple weeks since launch anyway. But we have seen more of the specially designed cards start to trickle out.
Yep.
So this is a card from MSI, GeForce GTX 970. And they actually already have a gaming G1 version. I believe it's a gaming G1 is their original version. I hope I'm not confusing that with the Gigabyte one. But MSI already has a 970. This is their 970 Lite. So they're thinking about, or the speculation here, this is on videocards.com, by the way, that this might be a lower priced, probably not quite as high of an overclock on it. Looks kind of cool, though.
It does.
Red and black.
Very attractive card.
That's fancy. It's got... So what seems to be the rage now with these 900 series cards is making it so your fans don't spin up. That was released at launch by, I believe, Asus as well as Gigabyte had that functionality on several of their cards at launch. And now that's been introduced, actually. EVGA, for example, just released a new update for their ACX 1.0 cards that are out. and they're going to be releasing. No, I'm sorry, for the 2.0 cards, and they're going to be releasing one for the 1.0 cards as well for the 970s. That will keep the fans from spinning up until they need to. Which is kind of cool. That means when you're idling, when you're not playing a game, or if you're doing something like watching a movie, which I think is going to be the best benefit of it, is a movie doesn't take much.
Right, it's low load.
Yeah, it doesn't take much for the graphics card to reproduce that. So that means that zero noise. So which is for a movie playback, hey.
That's excellent. Also more power efficient too, and because the Maxwell architecture is more power efficient and less, it doesn't get quite as hot, it can actually afford to run without fans under low load like that. So that's cool. Yep.
So that's the 970. There's some new 980s that are coming out too. We don't have many pictures of those. So I'm kind of curious, you guys who have looked at all these cards, have been browsing through them, whether or not you're planning on buying one. If you're like me, even if I have no plans at all to purchase a GTX 980, maybe I'll still go and look at all of them and be like, well, if I was getting one, that's the one I would get. The feedback I've gotten so far is, apart from the reference design, because honestly, I still like the reference design. I know it's something they've been using for a few years now, but it's still a really well designed card, full metal magnesium alloy chassis and the plexiglass window and all that good stuff. Apart from that one, like, are there any special custom designs that have come out that you guys have seen that you think were really cool or more well done than others? For example, I think the Gigabyte cards I've seen a lot of positivity about.
The 980 is a trip because of how thick the copper pipe is on it and how much it weighs.
It's just, it really, like, if you guys ever get the chance to take the Gigabyte, just the GTX 980 from Gigabyte, they're really high-end one, just hold it next to any other like standard normal card and you're just like, they poured.
Even if you have a 780, a Gigabyte 780 to hold it next to.
Yeah, it's still way heavier. So, and there's that's
some arm curls.
It's like it's like I have this same kind of speculation on like when you're testing a power supply with the weight test. It's so like inexact and everything, but yet at the same time, when you have a really heavy power supply, it's most likely going to be a very good power supply. Right. You can't make it heavy and not. I mean, unless they're pouring sand into it or something like that, I guess, which wouldn't be very practical.
But yeah, you can tell the quality and the thickness of the copper and how dense the components are.
So what else? Do we have anyone who's suggesting? VaporX, the sapphires. I actually haven't seen any of the sapphires directly. I've seen pictures, but I know they do a pretty good job.
We're supposed to be getting some of the is it Zotac?
Wait, is Sapphire making? Is Sapphire making? I don't know. I want to check on that now.
I don't know. I haven't heard anything from them, but
oh yeah, they have one.
But I imagine.
Oh wait, no, that's an MSI. Never mind.
No.
I think Sapphire might only This is one of those things I should really know. Sapphire only does AMD cards now, right? They're like XFX?
Mm-hmm. It's possible. I don't know.
I think that could be.
But we are going to have Zotac in the studio next week. I'm doing an interview with them on their 970s. So
Zotac, yeah.
I'll get to see their custom designs.
Ah, nice.
So that'll be fun.
Yeah, Zotac, they have some cool ones too. They're For the Win design. Yeah, I feel like For the Win is used by several of these manufacturers. Kind of fun. Anyway, I'm actually, I didn't purchase a 980, but I am getting to try one out from EVGA that's supposed to have arrived at my house today, so I'm very excited about that. I'm gonna check that out and see how well it overclocks. But all right, so that's my first story. New GTX cards coming out. Here's another hardware story, which is, I brought this story up.
It's my precious.
So this is an article that's posted over on GameCrate, and this is about NEWEGG'S new flagship SUPERCOMBO. So let me just, the article on GameCrate has what they were able to obtain, which I don't think that we have a constructed version of this combo anywhere. It's just a bunch of pictures of the
because we
N-Win.
only have one of those cases.
There's only one case. All right, so here's this SUPERCOMBO. What do you guys think?
If someone buys that combo, they need to let us build it for them.
So $19,120. You get an N-Win S frame Okay, that's 9 hundo. Asus X99 Deluxe.
Wait. You get an in-win S frame that I hugged very closely and
That's true.
Ran away from Kyle while carrying.
It's been touched by many people here at Newegg, so...
Yes, and it touched us.
That's... But no, but this would be them ordering the combo straight from the website. So they would get one shipped. They wouldn't get that one that we've used. Unless we got all the parts in and did a build of it.
I'm gonna go find the case category manager later and see how many of these we actually have in inventory, because I bet you it's just the one.
So I've worked on several of the. This is not the first Newegg Super Combo or Supreme Combo, if Taco Bell doesn't care about them using that term. that Newegg has ever done. We did one a few years ago that had two of the original Asus Aries cards in it, that was pretty fun. That was like one of the highest end cards I worked with, and even before that, going back to X58, we did a build then, I think with the 9. I can't remember specifically which CPU SKU it was, whichever one was the most expensive one. So, all right, in-win S frame, Asus X99 Deluxe. This doesn't make sense to me. X99 Deluxe. Okay, I'm going to critique this build for you guys right now. This is what I'm going to do. So X99 Deluxe, first of all, it's not the most expensive motherboard, and clearly they're going for what's the most expensive here because they've got two Titan Zs.
So that would be actually the one we have, right?
Yeah. So I think the Rampage 5 Extreme would have been a better choice for that. I'm guessing the reason that's not included in this combo is probably just because of inventory. They want to make sure people are able to purchase this. And
oh geez, do we have the only one of those too?
I don't think we have the only one. But the Rampage 5 Extreme, did I say? I might have said Maximus before. Rampage 5 Extreme.
No, you said Rampage.
I did say Rampage. Okay, that's the one that I would have gone with instead of the X. Not that there's anything wrong with the X99 Deluxe, but this is clearly like a black and red kind of thing with the S frame. So anyway, so two of EVGA's GTX Titan Zs. Not just the regular ones, mind you, that are $3,000, but the overclocked ones that are $3,200 apparently. So $6,400 for that. An EVGA 1600 watt power supply, perfectly reasonable for this build. That's $400. The 5960X, of course. There's nothing else that you could go with here unless you were going for some crazy Xeon dual CPU build. I'm glad they didn't do that because honestly, it's totally impractical. I think for this kind of thing. Well, maybe it's not. I just used the word impractical talking about a $19,000 build, yeah. But in any case, for gaming, that's going to be better.
Most logical.
Logical, sure.
I mean, if you're spending $19,000.
Yeah, and the 5960X, 59.6. That's my nickname for it. 5960X is unlocked and overclockable, which none of the Xeons are. So you'll get much better gaming performance out of that than you would even with like a dual Xeon thing. All right, so 4 Samsung 850 Pros SSDs. These are the 1 terabyte ones with the 3D VNAND. Oh, there's a little stamp on there. 2, not that 4 terabytes of SSD 850 Pros is good enough. We have also got 2 OCZ Revo drives. Those are 960 gigs. So this actually has 6 terabytes of SSD space and really fast SSD space. So that I'm more impressed with the storage in this than I am with the graphics. And then we got 2 4x8 gig Corsair Dominator Platinum kits, 2666. There's 3,000 available, but they were going for a 32 gig kit, so I guess that's somewhat reasonable too. So 64 gigs of DDR4 memory, and then the Asus PQ321Q, which I'm also kind of on the fence about. Yeah. I feel like there's, again, don't get me wrong, I'm not talking down on the Asus PQ321Q. It's just, it's been out for a while, it uses split monitors, it's not quite as full-featured, and like there's still issues with it. It doesn't always play nice with every game, and when we've been using it for gaming, we can attest to that. It's a great monitor, but I feel like there's other options out there that might have been better. And then, of course, the one thing that is the Titan Zs. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. All right. They kind of came and asked me a little bit about this a few weeks ago when they were putting it together, and this was my #1 request to them was don't use the Titan Zs. I think they have a place, and I think that place is universities and businesses that are using them for stuff. I don't think they have as much of a place here in this kind of combo. But
well, I mean, even at that price, though, you could go with a Quadro
You could go with the Quadro. I mean,
price.
for me, the two R9 295 X2s you can get for $2,000 right now. I don't know. Did the price go back up on those? Steve, do you know? He's got headphones on.
By the way, I totally agree with you about the PQ321.
Are the 295 X2s? Are they still $1,000 each?
I think they are. Yeah, I'll go
we'll check on that. But anyway, 2,000, or even if they're 3,000, that's like 3,000 to 4,000 less than the Titan Zs. And for gaming, they're probably going to perform better. They almost indefinitely. I can't say for sure because I'm not testing on this particular test bed. They're still $1,000. So yeah, that seems like a better option for me for performance.
Some people would say like, well, heat might be an issue in that situation, but not in that case. You know, that's the benefit of an open air case.
Oh yeah, and there's.
It does have a lot of ventilation and mounting and water cooler support. I mean, for the piece of art that it is, it's actually a very functional piece of art. Maybe. Or
I've been I just want to I've been critiquing this build, but that's because I want to make these better. And if anyone listens to me, then who knows? Maybe they will. Maybe they can come out with something that you guys would appreciate even more so than this, because it's really cool. Often, pardon me, one moment.
I honestly, what I would like to see with this build is also part of the monitor deficiency. I don't like that it only comes with one.
Yeah. I
think that for this, I mean, that much power, you're not going to push it out through one monitor. That doesn't make any sense.
No. Even 4K
yeah.
Is still pretty... This system isn't going to have any problem with 4K at all. I mean, three of the Asus... gosh, I just did a video on it. Steve.
Yep, Steve.
Sorry.
What's the Asus monitor you like a bunch?
The G-Sync one.
I
can't remember.
ROG Swift.
ROG Swift.
ROG Swift.
My memory today is really not serving me well.
All the cookies and soup pollution.
Okay. Yeah, three of the Asus Swift monitors I think would have been a better solution here. You'd have more pixels. It would cost about the same too, right? That was 2,500 versus those are like 750-ish. Yeah.
Well,
anyway.
no, that was like almost 4,000, I think, for the monitor. They had it on that list.
Really?
I think
it was 25. I don't think it's more than 2,500. Let's double check. Oh, 3,500. Wow.
Yeah, 3,500. So we'd even. So.
Is this right? I feel like they lowered the price on this.
Yeah. Ooh. So.
All right. This is a massive conspiracy we're unveiling right here. Look at that. That's actually $2,000.
And they have it on the combo deal for $1,500.
And the combo is we need to investigate this. Combo deal, 3,500. I guess they're showing you all of the combo discounts here, but even then, that's not enough of a combo discount. We're gonna have to talk.
We're gonna have to call somebody
we'll go talk to the combo guys right after this and be like, hey, that doesn't seem right to me. Okay.
Hey guys, we can math.
But anyway. Moving right along. That's
I just hope that if they... And, that 20K Super Combo doesn't have a CPU cooler. Thank you, Darkcrafter3. You are correct, sir. It does not.
It doesn't?
No.
Really?
You're going to put this all together in that glass-sided case with a stock cooler on and not be embarrassed?
This is silly. So,
no.
Just to clarify here, we did not realize that was a deficiency of this combo before we began to talk about it.
Joe.
Fear not, my friends. All of this information will be reported to the proper authorities very soon, I'm sure.
Well, now we know where they can put that other $1,500.
That is true. Water cooling. That's the last thing I was going to say here. Or if you wanted to go from the Titan Zs to the R9 295 X2s, you could take that 4K and overhead and apply 1,000, 1,500 of it towards like a really nice water cooling loop, and that would be cool too.
Yeah, and also some tasteful case lighting.
Ooh, Ninja Commander says give it the H220X. That would be a good recommendation. Do we sell that yet?
I don't think so.
H220X.
Of course, I don't know. I can't keep track of.
I don't think we sell that yet. I don't know why.
That's weird.
I have one.
Because he's Paul.
I got it from Swift Tech. Okay, moving right along though. We have more topics to discuss.
We do.
Okay, so...
we'll be sending your notes along and your feedback along to the combo guys.
Do you want to jump down to one of yours or just keep going down the list?
No, you can jump over to one of mine.
Okay.
What you got?
You want the one something about hackers? No.
No, I didn't.
There's something about hair, catching your hair.
Oh yes, so.
Or we could do Q&Egg.
Are we halfway through the show already?
Oh no, we have 5 more minutes. All right, let's talk about the.
So just because it's fun and because I'm not particularly big on iPhones in general, I had one briefly. I wanted to throw it in the water every day. Anyway, so the iPhone 6, new issues are surfacing with it, and this one is literally that it pulls your hair out. And this is happening to men as well as women.
Oh.
It's grabbing onto their scruffs. Like the gap in between the glass and the aluminum body is just the right thinness or thickness to be like a pair of tweezers. When you put it against your face, it's pulling people's hair out.
Look at poor Kevin here. My hair keeps getting caught in the microscopic seam between glass and aluminum on my iPhone 6.
Yeah, these are all guys complaining about this. The seam on my iPhone 6 where the aluminum meets the glass is definitely catching my hair and pulling it out.
This must be a white guy.
Anyone else getting their beard hairs pulled by the iPhone? That's terrible.
It's painful. Why would anyone
literally
wish this upon
pulling out
themselves?
people's short hairs?
This news follows Gapgate, which focused on the Samsung Galaxy Note 4. I'm trying to think.
So between accidentally bending your phone while it's in your pocket and it pulling your hair out, I don't think people are getting their money's worth out of this product.
Well, especially not if they're paying full price and not getting it on a contract or something like that. See, all I want to do is find out some conspiracy surrounding gates so we can call it Gate.
Gate? Yeah. So we need to
see, that's how my mind works. I look at this and I come up with something completely unrelated.
Conspiracy around some hinges or something. And
then Intel's going to have like their new tri-gate transistor and they're going to go like quad-gate transistor technology and then there's going to be some problem with it. It's going to be called Gate. That's my prediction.
It'll be quad gate.
Okay. Yes. So anyway, don't get an iPhone. What is that? What is our option?
You know
what could we recommend? Let's offer solutions here, not just problems.
Solutions, not problems. All right,
shave your face, or your head, or both.
No, that's not the solution.
Oh, okay.
The solution is, I feel, doing a little bit more product research and maybe waiting for the One Plus to come out and buying an affordable phone that has a 4K resolution camera.
Okay.
I like that option. I also like the LG. What is that? The G8.
So, having used an LG phone for the past few years, I've had my
G3.
All right. So I can give a personal.
Yeah, you can talk about your personal phone.
Wait.
I like my Samsung S3 a lot, and I would consider going to an S5, except for the camera is not rated as well as being as good as some of the other phones. And the only reason I would even consider the iPhone 6 is because of how well it takes low light photos.
Yeah, that is.
But I will not have a phone that rips my hair out. I draw the line.
You know, you can get a case that fixes it, put a case around it.
That's true.
And you won't have the gap, and you won't have the bending, and you won't have the hair caught. But what if your hair gets caught between the case and the camera and the phone? That's the problem. So just to elucidate my LG comments here, my issue. So this is LG G2, and no, I'm sorry. This is the LG Optimus G. I did not get the G2. That came out a few months later. So a few issues with this. One was when we got the LG wristwatch or wrist life band, whatever the heck, wearable in here, and we were trying to get it to work with any freaking phone that we had here available to us. I initially was like, perfect, I have an LG phone that will work, no problem. It turns out in order to use that life band, you need Android 4.2. My phone has only ever been updated to 4.1. So it's up to LG to push updates to the phone. I did get an update from 4.0 to 4.1. Within like 3 or 4 months after the phone came out. But when we contacted LG and I'm like, hey, we're trying to use it with this phone, and they're like, oh, that phone's outdated. And I was like,
go get a new phone to go with your Fitband.
My contract is not yet up. 2 years is not an unreasonable amount of time to expect that your phone will still be within, operating parameters. And the fact that LG themselves said that, oh, that phone's like outdated, I was like, but this was brand new when I got it less than 2 years ago. It had just come out. So as a result, I might not be getting another LG phone. I kind of have been leaning way more towards the either the phones directly from Google, like the Nexus, that always get the updates, and they're always vanilla, and they don't have any crapware loaded onto there or anything like that, or
bloatware.
You know,
the Nexus camera got a lot of really good ratings, too. I've been considering one of those as well. And because it doesn't have any bloatware on it, the software is quite good. I was really hopeful for the Sony Xperia because Sony makes very, very high quality camera sensors, which is great. However, the software is the limiting factor in that one, which is like, so the iPhone 6 doesn't have as good of a sensor or megapixels as the Xperia, but their software makes better use of what it has. And the Xperia kind of fails there. And also the newer Samsung phones have a 2-second delay in picture taking, which when you have a 2-second delay on your cell phone camera, your kid, your cat, your dog, whatever you're taking a picture of, it happened, it's gone. You didn't get it.
So it's kind of like you're running an R9 290 on DirectX 11 instead of Mantle.
Perhaps.
Sorry. moving right along. All right, I think it's time for Q&Egg. Right? Right?
Sure. Let's go to Q&Egg.
All
right, so you guys can tweet some questions to us and we'll get to those, but first up, let's answer some questions from the email. This comes from Matt T. He says, "Hi guys, love the show." Thanks, Matt. 2 questions from me. One, I recently finished my new PC. I'm using a stock CPU fan for an AMD FX-6350. This is incredibly loud. I put my PC under heavy loads often. Would a liquid cooler such as the H100i be required, or can I get away with a high-end air cooler? Like maybe the Noctua.
So, Matt, you're not mentioning here if you are overclocking. I can see a stock cooler getting loud with that configuration, but since you're not overclocking, I might consider making sure everything's seated properly. The fan spinning up is indicating that your temperature being reported by the CPU is higher than the threshold, so it's ramping up the fan to keep the temperatures down on that. I wouldn't see it, like, especially for a brand new build. So my problem with stock fans is that over time they're really prone to like collecting dust, and the fans aren't as high quality, so they tend to wear out more quickly and start making buzzing noises or not being able to spin as high RPMs, that sort of thing. For a brand new one, especially if you're not overclocking, it shouldn't be terribly loud. So I might double check and make sure that you're, you know, seated in the little AM or FM2 plus socket or whatever, that you're not like a little bit off or something like that. Make sure it's resting on there. If you're all good there, then yes, going with an air cooler or like a liquid cooler would help. I often say to people, especially if you're looking like an AMD APU, I mean, those range from, you know, $80 to $200. Spending $100 on an air cooler for a CPU that costs that much, it doesn't always seem that practical to me. So I would say before you go full bore with something like an H100i or something like that, maybe just try out like a Hyper 212 Plus or something in that category. The $30 doesn't look very pretty, but does a really, really good job cooling fans like the Hyper 212 Plus. I have one from Thermaltake called an NIC. I think it's like an L32 or something that they make. Pretty much every cooler manufacturer has some variation of that. Direct copper heat pipe contact, aluminum fin stack, and usually a larger 120 millimeter fan means that that's going to be a lot quieter and it's going to do a much better job of cooling. That would allow you to overclock. And I would suggest going something a little bit more practical in that route versus dropping as much as you might on an H100i. Just because, practically speaking, you're only going to get, I'm ballparking 5% maybe more overclocking performance, and that's probably being generous with an H100i versus like a Hyper 212. It's just, once you get to that certain point, your amount of improvement over there is smaller, but the amount of money you pay for those coolers is much larger. So there you go.
Cool. And we're going to go to Jonathan C., who asks, or he says, where once we had a plethora of trackball options from which to choose, we now have 2, Logitech's thumb ball and Logitech's 3 middle fingers ball. All of the higher end options, such as Logitech's own cordless optical TrackMan, seemed to disappear simultaneously overnight. Since used models of these great pointing devices are going for upwards of $400 online, it certainly seems that there's still a market for high-end, has more than 3 buttons trackballs. What gives? Is there some small company that you're aware of which is making decent trackballs? Thanks in advance. A 12+ year, very, very satisfied customer. I picked this question because it made me kind of nostalgic.
For trackballs?
For trackballs.
We have a track.
Gosh, they were such a thing for a while.
We have a trackball device at my parents' house on their computer in the back room. Still has a trackball, and I still kind of get a kick out of it. That's a ball. Yeah, I mean, do you know any? I have
no idea.
I have zero answer for this question.
I didn't know that
really
there
sorry,
was
Jonathan.
still. I would figure that if they're going for upwards of $400 online, it's probably because people want it for the nostalgia factor. I don't imagine that trackballs were better pointing devices than optical lasers.
Well, I know, because ergonomics can be so specific to the individual.
True.
That for certain people, the arm movement from moving a mouse is more strenuous to them than the fine muscle movement from moving fingers. So I think those are people who appreciate the trackball because really you're moving the ball. You don't have to have that full range of movement from your arm. I know the reason things like this happen, and you have products that used to be readily available or that there used to be more models of not being there anymore, and you can almost always point towards market or demand and how much. Oh, the Kensington.
The Kensington?
We had one of those in here. That was weird because it was really big, and it had like buttons on all sides, and it felt kind of like a Simon, one of those Simon Says or button pusher. Anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just means that there's not that many people in the market who are looking for it, which means that this much smaller group of people who really are, who I imagine if they're selling for $400 each, are very, need that, or they really I can't use a mouse, I have to use a trackball. So yeah, I wish I had a better answer for this.
Kensington makes the Expert Mouse trackball for $110, and it has 4 buttons.
Well, that's not bad. Kensington. Every time I hear Kensington, like a Kensington lock or something, I always want to do Austin Powers, like, hello, Mrs. Kensington.
This is the. I'll send you the link here. I'll put it in the document.
Orbit.
So there you go. If you go over to the document, I put up a link.
Oh,
there's the Orbit by Kensington, but there's another one here I found called the Kensington Slim Blade. That also has 4 buttons, but it's kind of
the benefit here is that one is only $40.
Yeah, but he wanted more than 3 buttons.
Oh, more than 3. Okay, the other one so this is this one you're talking about?
Yeah, 125. But look, the buttons are kind of like.
Can we get a larger picture, Sweetwater?
No.
Clearly an inferior online retailer. So it does look like it. So here's, we can do this thing. It looks like 2001: A Space Odyssey staring at you. So this is probably just left and right click up at the top, and I doubt these are probably just hand rests down there.
Okay.
Yeah, anyway, so the trackballs, they're not as popular as they used to be. Moral of the story.
All right, so what do
Sorry,
we
Jonathan,
have
but thank you
over
for your
on
question.
our Twitters? Let's see.
Right.
Hang on, I had one I favorited earlier. I'm going to scroll down to find. He asked right at the beginning of the show.
Thank you, Joseph, by the way, for pointing out that we don't have a CPU cooler. I have a question.
Where did it go? I favorited it. Can you go to my favorited tweets? Jenny's favorites?
Jenny's, I thought oh, no. Oh, yeah, that's yours.
Is it?
I just need to refresh it.
Oh, no, there it is. Which is your favorite mechanic? This is coming from...
Selmore Smith.
Selmore Smith. What is your favorite mechanical keyboard, or to which are you looking forward? It's the G910 in my case. Which is your favorite mechanical keyboard?
My favorite mechanical keyboard.
I haven't gotten to have one for a long period of time, but when they did let us use it, I really enjoyed the Razer proprietary switches on their new Black Widow keyboard.
Oh, the Kale switches.
I really like those switches. I like how they're designed. I like them a lot better for typing than the Cherry MX switches because the tactile feedback and the actuation all happen at the same time. I like that they're not too loud. They're about the same loudness as the Reds, but they did have a version that are about as loud and clicky as the Blues. We can't have that here because we film in this room while we're typing, so we can't have loud mechanical keyboards. And I was typing on some Cherry MX greens, and it was literally like a machine gun going off in the corner when I was typing. It was pretty bad. I had to switch back to a Corsair K40 rubber dome. But when we did have that Black Widow in, I would love to get another one. And I would probably use a mechanical keyboard in that case. But I prefer actually scissor switch keyboards to all others because I have a very, very light touch when I type. So I don't like to have to bend my fingers.
I've been typing on my laptop a lot recently because I answer emails on it in the morning, and I'm like, I swear I go back and forth with scissor switches. Every once in a while I'm like, I can type like a wizard, like it's like my fingers don't even need to touch the keys. And other times I'm just like, you know, it's like I got stumps for hands or something, like I can't, it feels like I'm just fat fingering and I keep having to go, and like mine has one of those like tiny little delete buttons, you know, where it's like half the size of everything. I'm like, yeah, you got kind of the same thing. I'm like, where is it? And I have to find it, hit delete. Oh, yeah, it's insane. But yeah, I mean, for me, for keyboards, for me, like like a keyboard's pretty straightforward, I guess. It's like, you know, it's a rectangle, and there's keys, and they all have roughly the same layout. You know, you got your QWERTY or whatever. So for me, it's like the construction of the keyboard. I mean, that's what can be a differentiating factor. What switches, of course, but lots of companies have different switches. When it comes to the Cherry switches, I prefer the Cherry MX Browns. So that's a preference. Other than that, it's hard for me to say, yes, this keyboard is like the best or anything like that. I do like what I've seen of the new Corsair RGBs, and that's just, you know, the blingy RGB lighting thing, and that's pretty cool. And I really like how, well, insanely complex their software is, but also there's a ton of stuff you can do with it. So yeah, I guess recently that one's cool. Oh, and then I had a Topra Type Heaven keyboard with the Topra switches, which are capacitive hybrid, capacitive / mechanical. And for straight typing, I wouldn't want to use that keyboard for gaming. I don't feel like it has more of a flowy feel to it than a mashing specific buttons. But for typing, I love that thing. It felt luxurious.
So for me, I think it would be scissor switches for typing, and then I would have the Razer greens for gaming at home, because I do still type a bit here and there on my gaming computer.
Okay.
So I still want something that's comfortable for me to use for typing, but not necessarily all the time.
Is there a keyboard shortcut that will make pizza bites jump into my mouth?
No.
Oh. Why is somebody's linking one of my videos? What is it? Scared you? Oh, is that Rachel?
Maybe.
Oh, that's my video. Never mind. Okay, we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about keyboards. I thought somebody was mentioning my how to clean a keyboard video.
All right, we need to move on with stories now.
Oh yeah, stories. Wait, I have one other question.
We'll try to get some of the well, we've got 15 minutes left.
Okay, but I had this one showing. I feel bad not answering it really quick. This is from Harvey Donald. He has a question. He has a brownish pin on his LG A2011 socket. A
brownish?
Brownish. So
like burnt?
That's my assumption. And I see he's got he's got a macro shot of it on his TV right there.
Yeah.
That you can kind of see. So my questions would be, one, is this a brand new board that has that in there? If so, I would RMA it. Two, if it's a board you've been using and you found a brown pin, then why were you pulling your CPU out? Maybe it's because your CPU stopped working, and maybe it's because the board has failed. And I would say that would probably point towards like an overclock, particularly if you're using a lot too much voltage, or possibly a problem with the motherboard or something like that. Why do I keep having to drink water? I rarely blame CPUs. CPUs tend to be pretty solid in my experience. So I'd say either the motherboard, possibly an overclock. If you're running an overclock with really high voltage, and that's one of the leads that that power is being pulled through, and you have too much, then it can start to discolor. It's not black, it's not burnt. All that being said, you could test it and see if it works. If it works, then it probably works, and you're probably just fine.
I would say if you just opened up the box and it's that way, send it back and get another one.
Yeah, yeah.
Like don't chance it.
Definitely. But if it's something you've been using for a while already, brownish, I would still drop a CPU in there and test it out and see if it boots up. If it's not working, then you might have to contact the manufacturer and see what your RMA options might be. Okay, back to stories. We have more stories to talk about, right?
Yes, we do.
Oh yeah, Windows 10. You guys may have heard, but Microsoft is skipping Windows 9 and they're going directly to Windows 10.
I did appreciate Twitter lighting up with all the 789 jokes.
Oh, why is 6 afraid of 7?
It was like...
Because 789?
Because 789. But they rephrase it, so why is Microsoft 10? Because 789.
Oh.
Very clever. Waitress.
All right, so you guys may have heard this already, but there's a lot of speculation, like why is there no Windows 9? Why did they skip and go straight to 10? There's speculation about whether it's a branding thing, whether they feel distancing themselves more from Windows 8, which was viewed as not as successful of an operating system for them, might be what they're going for. But here's an article on CNET with a bit more of a logical explanation, I believe. Let me scroll down here and take a drink of water. But I will sum up. Microsoft has had many versions of Windows over the years, including Windows 95 and Windows 98. A lot of programs...
those were related to the years they came out in.
Those were related to the years they came out in, but a lot of programs, especially enterprise programs or older programs that were written for... I don't know what these programs are made for, but there can be lots of old programs that look for a certain thing, like what operating system is the program running on at that time, and they might do a check, like the one the Microsoft dev on Reddit pointed out here from this article, which is if the version starts with Windows 9, such as 95 or 98, then assume it's Windows 95 or Windows 98. If they called the new Windows 9, you might have programs like this that are searching for an operating system, and basically you could run into a bunch of compatibility issues with it trying to run in a mode for an operating system that isn't the operating system it's running for. So I thought that was kind of interesting because I had kind of had the same thought myself. Was like, why did they go to 10 instead of 9? But this is just one of those explanations. I was like, okay, that's pretty understandable. They're trying to negate the possibility of conflicts, especially with these. I mean, and I think the types of programs they're talking about here, this would need to be like an enterprise level program or something that's used by like government or infrastructure or something like that, because those are the types of applications. That's the type of software that has a much longer lifespan. If they set it up and it's working, they'll be like, all right, it's working. Just don't bother updating it. So
if they had given it a non-numerical name, I doubt we would have even questioned it or wondered about it. Like
that is true.
Vista or whatever.
Oh, they can't call anything Vista anymore.
Right.
Fortunately, those days are behind us.
They could call it Salvation.
Okay. But then that would be, see, that's setting themselves up. If it's not awesome, then it had better be awesome. If
well, they've made bigger mistakes than that in the past and recovered.
So I have not installed the developer preview or whatever it's called that they have set up yet, but I did watch Logan's 6-7 minute video on it. He had several very successful videos with Windows 8, pointing out some of the shortcomings of that, and now he has Windows 10. It's actually not terrible. Check it out. It's just a quick initial look at it, but things are looking good so far. They have a multiple desktops mode, so it's kind of like you could do for Linux for quite some time now. Set up multiple desktops for different uses. So if you can have a gaming desktop and you can have a production, a work desktop.
I feel like that's what they tried to do with Windows 8. you know, because if you scroll up to the top left corner, it brings up, you know, the tiles or the UI. So it had kind of like that multiple desktop feel. It was just annoying and would do it whenever your cursor got even remotely close to the top corner.
Yeah. So.
But now that they have true multiple desktops, I think that's great.
Yeah, the things I like here are, I mean, there's just some basic UI functionality. He was messing around with snapping. You can now not just snap left and right, but you can snap down to quarters, which using 4K screens for a while now, oh my gosh, that's going to be very helpful. Because just the time, you don't realize when you're like doing benchmarking like Steve's doing back here, just moving windows and putting them where you want them to be can be so time consuming. So snapping is very, very helpful.
Especially when you have to do it over and over and over again.
Yeah, the start menu is back, of course.
But it looks like it's easier to customize. Look, he's just moving things around on it.
Yeah,
making the things he wants way more accessible.
Yeah, so resizing the live tiles, that's a big thing, being able to make them whatever size you want. But just the fact that it's got that little start menu. This is when they first came out with Metro. This was like almost exactly what I was like. Why don't they just have a start menu, but also put that part of it, which seems like what they did here. I can't take credit for that.
Right, so you can see the 4 or 5 things you use regularly right away.
Yeah, so
like I would use that for like my Microsoft Word and application software and stuff like that right there to keep my desktop clean.
So right now he's going through. Wait, no. I thought he was doing one thing, but he wasn't. That was multiple desktops. Anyway, oh, this part was cool. When you open up and go to home or whatever, where you might go to like My Computer or something like that, it's got a pretty nicely organized favorites section with recently used folders, recently used files that seem pretty well thought out. But yeah, I mean, honestly, what it seems like to me, they've done a few cool UI improvements to help you get around and everything. They've removed the Metro thing. Oh, he's not showing it now, but actually I should. Guys, go watch that video. Don't just watch this. He also showed how Metro apps, the bane of our existence, if you're a Windows 8 user and you prefer desktop, those now run in Windows, or they can be run in Windows, and you can move them around and stuff like that. It's like, oh, just why couldn't they have done that before? But yeah, it seems pretty good. And then all of those cool, like the lesser talked about functions of Windows 8 and Windows 8.1 that I feel kind of got brushed under the carpet because people were focusing on the whole like, oh, Metro sucks and there's no start button, but just the speed improvements are still there. Stuff like going into the task manager and the amount of information it shows there, which is way better. All those Windows 8 things that were actually cool are still there. Oh, and shadow copy. If you guys like shadow copy, maybe, this is still pretty early, but it looks like they might be bringing shadow copy back. Thank God. It saves previous versions of files. And it's cool.
There is a way to do it, or that Windows still does it. It's just a lot harder to find.
Yeah, it's stupid. But okay, so there's some Windows 10 information. What are we moving on to next?
I don't know, but do it quickly.
Okay. We have
the one thing I'd like to talk about is Ello.
Sure, let's go to Ello.
Ello is a new social media that is currently in beta testing form, invite only. There's some numbers out there that may or may not be true, and one was that the network was receiving 31,000 requests per hour for it, and that bootlegged invites were selling on eBay for up to $500.
Oh, good Lord.
So Ello is a reaction to people's dislike and growing dislike for Facebook and their constant and incessant infringement on our privacy. Ello says that they are going to be no cost to the user, but they may have opportunities to purchase services and things like that within the app. But they promise that their entire thing is being founded on no data mining and no sharing of your personal data as well. So no data mining. They're not going to be tracking your connections and all of the heinous things that Facebook tracks from you and uses and sells to various organizations. So no more advertising. They don't want any ads, and they definitely don't want any ads that use your metrics and your data to sell things to you.
That sounds glorious.
Exactly. So they're dissatisfied social media users themselves, and that's how they say, well, we're going to keep it free because we don't want to drive people away, and we ourselves would have to quit our site if we stopped operating this way because this is not what we want. So to me, it's kind of like I would almost be willing to pay a $5 or $6 buy-in for something like this. A one-time $5 or $6 buy-in to have a social media site that's ad-free, that doesn't data mine, because I would want something like this to stay available.
Well, that's the thought I've had several times recently, actually, too, is just that if you look at all the social networks that are out there, you know, there's a lot that I think are still, you know, huge. Obviously, Facebook. I mean, it's massive. There's tons of people that use it. However, look at something like MySpace and how much it fell off, and you have to think, well, there does seem to be an ebb and flow with these social networks. There does seem to be a point where people like just kind of get tired of whatever's going on, and for Facebook, I mean, I don't really use Facebook anymore. I have a fan page on Facebook. That's the only reason I log in, is to double check on my fan page, but I don't do any like actual
I find myself more and
there.
more, my Facebook page is actually for my older relatives and keeping friends with the people my parents' generation have it's become their social media of choice, and that's basically what I have. Like my friends list, I keep my friends list private, but I have no shame in telling you that I have less than 200 people on it. I think I have like 180 or something like that on my personal Facebook page, and that's why I don't add people. People friend me all the time, and I don't add them, and it's like, well, this is what I use to keep in touch with my aunts and uncles and friends of the family and that type of thing. This is not how I prefer to keep in touch with, you know, other non-related people. So I just, or high school friends, I still think Facebook is probably like the best way to stay in touch with people from high school. But I was in high school, you know, a long time ago.
It's like at least 3-4 months, right?
At least three or 4 months. So
my
friends from high school are all like, you know, parents with kids, and definitely they like the Facebook for sharing all their, you know, children's milestones and such.
And like the youth demographic is so important for that sort of thing, because you know, like people first started getting into Facebook because, you know, it was like a college thing, all that kind of stuff. But if young people aren't joining a social network, then I think eventually you're going to see it start to taper off and everything. So this is cool, because it means that people are interested, I think, in alternatives, and I think that leads to more competition. And who knows, if this thing starts to blow up, well, one, it would be really cool to get in on ground floor, because then you'd be like, oh, you know, I've got the username.
And for people who don't keep up with what Facebook uses or has used in the past, in very recent past, of your private information, if you had Facebook Messenger in December last year, Facebook Messenger had access to turn on your camera on your cell phone anytime it wanted to. Did you know that? That when you gave them permission to put that on your phone, that installation?
So I always had my phone pointed at a picture of a middle finger.
There's another pretty heinous one on here that I really was just like, I didn't even know about it, and it just disgusted me. It can call numbers without your intervention.
That's awesome.
That actually explains why Josh was always able to text me whenever I was going to the bathroom. I could never figure out how he was doing that.
Ew.
Using Facebook.
Using Facebook. So you are giving these applications permission to use your data, use your phone number, like things on your behalf, and apparently turn your camera on and off whenever it wants to. Isn't that nice? That makes you feel all warm and fuzzy.
Yeah, yeah.
So I like the idea of a social network that I could keep in touch with people, and I would love for my parents' generation to get on board with it and kick Facebook to the curb and say, you know, we're done with you.
Me too. I'll see if I can get into LO, and if I do, I'll let you guys know how it goes. I kind of like the look of it, though. It looks kind of...
I like it, too. I like it a lot.
They're using Courier. It looks like programmers like to go hang out there. Programmers and designers. Those people are cool. Any of you programmers or designers who are watching out there, we should hang out later.
Q over at GameCrate tweeted, also Elo is allowing GIFs and NSFW pics to be posted.
Oh, nice. Cool. So kind of like an adult social network.
So I can see how this could actually become not a great place.
Not a great place.
But, well, I don't want a social media site that would allow child pornography. For example.
That is very true. That is very true.
I'm not okay with that.
So it's kind of that fun like Wild West when a startup first starts and they don't have people like telling them they can't do things.
Snapchat.
Yeah.
Snapchat is trying to like rebrand itself as some kind of family-friendly social media situation.
Oh really? Okay.
It's pretty funny. It's like, no, we know what you're about and what you're for.
Sure, Snapchat.
All right, so I guess this will be our last story, or we can answer
let's do some Twitter questions. I think we have a few other stories that we pulled up, but I don't think any of them are.
You can check the description of the video later, though, if you want to see anything.
Yeah. Oh well, here I'll do 2 quick public service announcements for anyone who's not already aware. This is just something you should be aware of. First off, there was a JPMorgan data breach that exposed 76 million households. Information that included names, addresses, phone numbers, email addresses, and internal JPMorgan information relating to 83 million users. So this is a data breach. They're comparing it to the ones that have happened more recently in the past year with Home Depot and with Target. On the bright side, they said there's no evidence that information such as account numbers, passwords, user IDs, dates of birth, or social security numbers were compromised. But if you bank with JPMorgan Chase, then at least go change your password.
So now they can just send you lots of annoying spammy mail in the mail.
Exactly. A second public service announcement, a slight warning for folks out there. This one, Steve originally pulled this one up, and I've seen it plastered many places on the web since then. There is a major security flaw, unfortunately, with USB sticks. And again, I want to get through this quickly, but it's being called BADUSB. It's a vulnerability. It's only going to affect one USB manufacturer called Phison, based out of Taiwan. Unfortunately, it's virtually impossible to tell if your USB drive was manufactured by Phison. So that's unfortunate. The other good thing, I guess, is that this is going to spread via physically plugging and unplugging USB things in. So if you have a contaminated USB stick and you plug it into a device, it will contaminate the firmware on that device. And then when you pull it out and plug something else into it, then that will contaminate the next USB stick. And apparently there's no way to fix it. There's what else? Hackers can use it to take over your computer. Since it's a USB device, they can use it to emulate that the USB device is a keyboard, so they can input keystrokes, which is really not good. Phison has been contacted about that, and they have repeatedly denied that the attack was possible, even though it's been verified many, many places. NSA potentially was using it as an exploit with their Cottonmouth program that was revealed by Edward Snowden, and it could spread very quickly. So, upshot here is don't trust USB sticks unless they're your own. I mean, I don't know what else to say here. Just if somebody's
like a terrible euphemism.
It's I don't know.
It's that time of day, Paul.
It is that time of day. But so if somebody's like, hey, let me copy that real quick with their USB stick, I guess just give it a second thought. Be like, hold on. I don't know. It's a public service announcement, folks.
Steve said eSATA.
eSATA. Steve said switch everything to eSATA. Stop using USB. I'm sure it will go away. Sure. I think what we need is some sort of software that here's what we need is software that has a register of all the device IDs that Phison uses that you can plug in and run and identify if your USB stick is Phison, and then just start destroying any USB device you have that has a Phison controller. That
could work.
If any of you guys are software
Please.
developers and you make that program, let me know, and I will take it and claim it as my own. Okay.
So we've been asked what microphones we use, and we use the Sennheiser EW100G3s
Those
and
are the
lavalier
receivers.
mic. These are the receivers.
So yeah, so actually,
wireless.
if you this is a really nice and well regarded Sennheiser wireless kit. So these are the these are the transmitters. The receivers are over there. That we have the box ones. You can also buy these that have a transmitter and a receiver that's portable. They both look like this. The mics we're using, however, these are Tram TR50s, I believe, is what they are called. So these.
You called the pack the receivers. You mean the transmitter?
I corrected myself.
Yeah, he already corrected you.
That's all right. Steve's delayed. Steve's behind. Steve's still just now learning about this whole USB thing. So yeah, these lav mics are actually these are pretty sweet. They're omnidirectional, so they tend to pick up other noise sometimes, but I think they still do a pretty good job. And they're way better than the ones that come with the
We also have a soundboard that this is all connected to.
Yes.
So if you're looking for an simple at-home setup, the way we do it probably isn't the way to go. You could probably do something much simpler.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on, I mean, if you want to go wireless, you're going to have to spend some money. That's just what it comes down to, probably at least a couple hundred. Actually, Jerry, Barnacle-Y's Nerdgasm channel, if you guys aren't already familiar with that, he has a video he did on a small soundboard, which I can't for the life of me remember the model or manufacturer of right now, but it's a little soundboard that you can use for some basic at-home stuff for routing your audio through, so you can mess with the levels and get things.
Hardware Canucks also uses a similar small setup.
Yes, Hardware Canucks.
And you can watch that and what they have in their studio tour part 1 video.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, another question, probably close to the last one here. From Daniel, DJ Metrano asks, what are your thoughts on Nzxt's new budget-friendly S340? And so I pulled it up to take a look at it, and...
Budget-friendly, $70?
$70 case.
It looks like it's available in black and white. It has a
plexiglass.
Big square plexiglass side window. It's got one of those fancy Nzxt panels that kind of covers the hard drive area.
Yeah.
Where is this? Nzxt S340? It looks, I mean, I haven't tried one yet, but
yeah, we don't have one here to look at, but I'm looking at it. And
so does it have so it's got a separate chamber in the bottom
for your power supply.
I mean, for a $70 case.
Painted on the inside. I'd say it's pretty solid for $70. It's not nothing. It's not anything to look at.
Yeah.
But
So I mean, it looks. It's like a monolith. It's kind of got that minimalist design.
Yeah.
Okay. S340 from Nzxt. Let me show you guys this since it's here. Wait, maybe, or perhaps none of these pictures will work. Oh, there it is. Okay.
I like that it has room in the top for a slim optical drive.
I like that big old dust filter right in the front.
That's cool. That's easy. One big piece. Take it off and clean it. Okay. Well.
Yeah, that's fun.
Okie dokie. Well, I think.
It's an Asus motherboard.
I think we're winding down now.
Are you saying we should end the show, Jenny?
I want to say thank you to Paul for coming in and spend some time with us here today.
Thank you for having me. It's been great to be around. It's been I haven't been here in a little while. I came by last week at one point, but nothing has changed. The only real difference here is that Steve is benchmarking 4-way GTX 980s.
I'm on 3-way right now.
Sorry, 3-way GTX 980s. He burnt out the last card by overclocking it too much. No? Okay, never mind. No, he finished his 4-way benchmarks, and now he's moving on to 3-way benchmarks. Very exciting, right, Steve?
It is very exciting.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes. Oh, look at those charts and data flowing over there.
Yeah,
so exciting.
Charts.
Oh wait, I should go back to this. Oh, nope, wrong one. Oopsie. Okay. Sorry about that. But guys, thank you so much for coming out and joining us today on the Alt+Tab live show. If you're watching live, thanks for joining us. If you're watching the re-upload, thanks for watching the re-upload too. Of course, there's going to be more content on Newegg TV next week. Yoked is on Wednesday. Alt+Tab coming at you again 1 week from today on Friday. I think Kyle's going to be in it next week, and maybe somebody else too.
And you'll be up on Yoked.
I'm going to be on Yoked next week. Oh, it's going to be awesome. So yeah, continue to tweet to us and stuff, ask us questions, let us know about things that are coming out. Because I think that's probably, if you guys want to tweet to me and really help me out, if you come across something that you think is cool, specifically when it comes to tech, just be like, hey, Paul, check this out. Because that's the thing I'm finding I have less time for these days, is just being like, what's going on these days, and like researching and looking at more stuff. And so when people say like, hey, I saw this and I thought it was cool, I think that's really helpful for me. So I encourage you guys to do that, and Jenny, of course, as well, and Steve. And
we appreciate it. We appreciate all of your support. Thank you for joining us today on the Alt+Tab Live Show, and hopefully we will see you again next week.